for those who are in the Excel one, it depends on you, but it's going to be a repetition, except if you are okay with it. And then for those of us who are not in the Excel one, then I can straight away share the polls. So we are supposed to ask us, this is a different poll from the one I did during the Excel. This one is asking specifically about how well do you already use Excel, Power BI. How well do you already use Power BI? And then it's just to give me an idea about how to pace it. If everybody is already proficient, I can try and be faster and squeeze in some extra stuff. If everybody is more towards the beginner side, then I won't run faster than I should. So that's why I'm just asking this. As you can see on the screen, if you go to the menti.com and you use the code, which is 9663786, it's going to take you straight to this poll. And if you also notice in the chat box, I've already input the link. So if you go to the chat, you will notice that I've already posted the link. Let me just copy paste again so that way. Okay, so I will carry on. I can see that today's in-house audience is a smaller audience. So without wasting any time, the topic is specifically on, let me just turn around. Okay. So today's topic is specifically on PowerQuery's. And I am going to take away the slides now. And this is so this is okay. All right, so I was trying to mute everybody. All right, so this is the data that I want to use for the demonstration. So I have in here, actually this is an in-house project for us. For those of you who already have access to this particular dashboard, is the same set of data that is feeding this. Though you will not yet see these updates on the live dashboard. Let me just post that also on the. It's meant to feed this live dashboard. So this is the live dashboard that what I'm building. You'll be happy that you at least saw the backend, or you have seen the backend before that aspect of it goes live. So what I have here is supposed to, which I'm already on it, it should be done. Actually, it should be done in 1 or 2 days time, but I'm always having so many other projects. So it's supposed to fit this one. So the way you can see stocks analysis in terms of price and see which one to buy based on technical signals, then that is supposed to provide more fundamental signals. You'll be able to screen stocks based on their fundamental analysis. So that's the aspect that this data is meant to add. And I have a team member who has been working on this for the last 3 months. So he has kind of gathered for 101 companies. Now the issue is, even for this my team member, to ingest this to the Power BI for him was not a small thing. He just couldn't get it. So I had to take up the task off him. So he and another of my colleagues too, both of them were struggling with bringing the data into Power BI. And the struggle is because of the way the data is here. So let's identify the issues. Now, for just consumption on Google Sheet, this is okay. You know, me putting our logo there, putting all of these. But for database structure, this does not make sense. You know, you will not want to have this there. You will not want to have this. Let me just delete and show you what it looks like. You will not want to have this. You will want it to look like this. And then this company, Dangote Cement, you would rather prefer that it is showing as a row where you are going to see company and then Dangote Cement, right? And then this should like be on all of the. So this makes a lot of sense for analysis. Unfortunately, well, that is not the way I had set up the template originally. So I set it up to be more like this. So which now made it difficult for the people creating the analysis. And so I had to take it up myself. So it's either we change this or we use the Power Query in Power BI to adjust it to what we want. So I already know how to use Power Query to fix. I've had to deal with something like this before for a client before. So it was not a problem for me to take up, or my other colleagues were struggling. So I felt, let me create a tutorial around it. So I'm going to create a new, I'm going to put blank Power BI. By the way, let me see how we answered this so that I can have an idea around the audience spread. So we have, that's interesting. Some have not used it before, some are beginner, some are proficient. So it's like a split and it's like 3 people field. So that means one person here and there. Okay, not a problem. The step one is first of all, launching Power BI. And then when it comes to bringing in data from Google Sheets, you will have to go to share. So someone had mentioned something about this before. Let me see if I can just show you how I'm going to just copy this. See, online Google Sheets. Okay, I can use this for demonstration. So you will have to, first of all, click on share. And then I've done a video around it, but I felt let me just do it here. It's a smaller size. So you will have to click on share, change the setting to anyone with a link. Then you copy this link, right? So when you copy this link, you will have to do a bit of transformation on the link. So in my own case, I already have an Excel sheet that I use to document the transformation that I would need to do so that it makes my life easy. Why is this not? Okay, I need to close it. So in Excel, Power Query locks Excel. Okay, so back to what I was saying. I already have an Excel sheet. If in my video that I'm going to share with you, I think you will see this there too. So here I have documented the modifications you will do. But for me, I already just paste the link and I have formulas here that do the transformation. So it will take out the edit/sharing. So I'm just going to give you the link of the video so you can watch it. But once I have done this, it is that transformed link that I will take into Power BI and choose web. So I'm going to choose web and paste the link. So once I do this, it will now begin to ingest, like bring in my Google Sheets. So let me just grab you the link of the video steps. The link of the video steps is this one. So how to connect Google Sheets, how to connect Google Sheets. Actually, for company data, you will prefer to use OneDrive, like Excel Online. Because with Excel Online, you don't need to share to anyone. Like, you don't need to share the link in such a way that anyone with the access, with link can access it. With Excel Online, you can still restrict it to only yourself or to whoever it is that need to have access. So once you've done that, so which I have done, you will see that after pasting the link and clicking on web, I am able to see all of the different companies and tables. So table is this. Table is this one. So this is a table. You will notice that this color pattern, right? So this is a table, right? And then this is also a sheet. And that is what you're noticing here. Yeah. That I have a table, and then I also, you see this table, see the way it is. It's not inclusive of this portion. Okay, so I have a table that just captures just this table, right? Then Power BI also detects that there is a sheet. So you'll see that there is also the sheet. For this case, we need to bring in the sheets. Because if you bring in the sheet, problem, you will not know whether this is for Lafarge or for Dangote or for the company name is not there. But if I bring in the sheet, I can see that the company name is there. This is Academy Press. If I go to another company, I will see this is Access Bank, right? So I like that for. Let us just pick some set of companies. Maybe I should pick from the middle. Say from here. I don't want to pick too much so that it doesn't slow down. So maybe I pick this number of companies. Okay. So I'm going to say I need to transform because transforming is the only way that, okay, I'm just monitoring to see. So transforming is the only way I can do the kind of transformations, the kind of data mashup that I need to do before this data can become what is useful. So if you look at the slide that I have shared while this is going on, that slide that I have shared before, more people have replied, so this is good. So that data that I have shared before, which if I scroll the slides that I've shared before, this is the raw data, which I've explained what is happening inside. So we are already at this stage. This is where we want to get. When we are done, all of the companies should be together in one table with all the data that we need and already flattened out. Flattened out means that I'm going to have all the years. So let me just go to where. So this is it. So this is it. I'm going to have all the years collapsed like this. That's the meaning of flattened out. Collapsed like this. If you can see my screen, you can see the year column. Let me see if I can. So I'll have all the years collapsed and the figures in front of them instead of the way it is here. The way it is here where I have the years, as separate columns. So now that we've started the process, I have brought in this data into Power Query. And then I want to do the transformations that I need. So number one is I want to create a column where all the company names will show. Mobile should show as a column name. should show as a column name like this. You can see it. So I have a company column. I want to achieve that. Unfortunately, I don't have it already in my data. I have the company name in one cell. So how am I going to extract this information that's in a cell and save it and use it in a column, right? In Power Query, there's a formula way to grab what is in a cell. So you mention the table name, you mention the column, and then the cell, like the row in that column. But I don't know mQuery that very well to write them from scratch. So what I used to do is I let the system generate the code for me. So if you right click on the what I want to extract, you will see. If I click on add as query, it's going to extract it out. So this has generated that code that I would have done myself, which is not difficult. But imagine after 1 month, I'm not going to exactly remember this. That's what has happened to me. When I see it, I recognize what it is doing. But remembering it exactly has been my issue with many of the mQuery codes. So what I just do is I copy this code structure. You can even delete this after you've copied because we don't need it. I only just needed it for it to get for me the code structure. So I don't need it anymore. Okay. So I'm going to quickly do some things before creating the column. Why these first three, these 1, 2, 3 columns, rows. So what do? I go to remove rows. Let me zoom my screen. So I go to remove rows. I say remove top columns, and then it should remove the top 3 rows. So remove the top 3 rows. So that way it knocks off all those ones. So we are getting there gradually. Now, row number 1 is having the data header that I want. So what do? I'm going to say use first row as header. So use first row as header is going to promote row 1 to become the header. So we are making good progress. I need to also add the company names. So remember that I had already used that's my mouse to extract the name, and I've copied, right? So I'm going to say add column, go to custom column, and then I'm going to say this column, I'm going to call it company, and I'm going to straight away paste that I've copied. So this is the code stuff that I copied, which I say get for us, column, no, row 1, column 3. Anyway, I don't need to, like I tell you, I don't try to memorize it. I just let the Power Query generate it for me. And all I do is I say, okay. And see, it has come out. I'm going to now move this to the beginning of my table. So that is also not difficult. That's one thing I like really about Power Query. A whole lot of the things are accessible via click. You can right click, there's a whole lot of settings that you probably would have needed to use a formula to achieve, that you just click on the button that does that. So I'm going to move this to the beginning. And I'm guessing maybe they feel a lot of people are not going to find it easy. Actually, the code is too verbose. The code structure is not one that learns easily to remember, to you being able to remember. It's really very wordy. So I have done that now, right? So I'm going to now go ahead with other transformations. If you looking through my data, I can see that I have a lot of data, empty rows that have come in. So what do? I can even decide to do that before the company name that I've done. So I can say you should go back to before I had the company name. So you should go back to before I did this company name, and you should, at this stage, I want to remove all the nulls. So I go to the metrics. So where the metrics are null, I go here, or I click there, and I say remove empty, or I uncheck null. Any of these two, you do the same thing. So we can say uncheck null, and that will achieve that for us. So I no longer have, at least for the metric side, I no longer have null. Okay? And then I am going to step back to where I was. So this is where I was. So you will see that it still keeps my subsequent states. Okay, so another thing I see as a problem that needs fixing is it has brought in columns that are empty, columns that have nothing in them. Okay, so in the previous session, I showed you that you can delete them. But in my own real life one, I didn't want to delete because the truth is, it's useful for me. Because when, let me just show you, at least as a Jara for those of us that were here in the other one. So where was it? This is it. This is it. You see, when 2020 ends, my team member is going to come here and add 2020 data. I don't want to repeat all these steps anymore. So what I did in the real life case is I did not delete these columns. So I left them. So now, what I now did is I flattened the entire, so I selected all of these, flattened on pivots. So I made all these columns to collapse into row, which is I on pivot. So if I go to transform, you will see on pivot. Once you click on pivot, you will see that's collapsed all those columns into one column, and then all this my zooming has frozen the screen. Yeah, always don't like that experience. Okay, thank God it's back. So I collapsed it. Here, this is value. So what I did is, it was at this stage that I came here and then I said this one that I'm going to add a text filter and say as long as it does not begin with colon. So that's the way I went about removing all the columns that are not here. And this gives me the advantage of when my colleagues update the table and they keep adding more years, I don't have to come back here and do any other thing. It will instantly come back into my data. So I click on OK. Click on OK. And that should have done it. I will not have things that are known attached to a year. Okay, so another thing is these are majorly like currency type of data. So I decided to, okay, let me set the data type once and for all. This is going to be a text. This is already detected as a true or false, so I'm not going to touch it. This one is going to be a number, but it's going to be like a currency type, so which Power BI calls fixed decimal. In Excel, well, in my Excel, it was still showing currency. Which if you look here, it's showing currency. So anyway, it's the same thing in terms of transformation. All right, so now that I've done all of this, I've taken my time to do all of this for one company. I don't want to repeat all of this for the other. And my case, actually, I had about 100 companies, 101. So, this is not going to be a nice experience to do for them all over again. I wish there can be a way simpler, and maybe there is, but the simplest way I found so far was me going here, going to home, going to advanced editor, grabbing the steps that I've added up until the step that the computer generated by itself, the PowerQuery generated by itself. So you see all the steps I've added, remove top rule, promote header, filter, I copied everything. And then I started going one by one to the other tables, advanced editor, and I replaced. So I copy paste, I replace, start doing this there, and voila, it transforms. It does all those my transformation, and then I do like that for every other one. So let me just for this also, and for this, and for this, and for this. Since we are on time, I'm going to do two more things I didn't do during the Excel one. So I'm going to show us how I selectively choose to load only the table that is a consolidation. Then also how you set the automatic or scheduled refresh so that every day this thing is being updated by itself. Like it keeps going to refresh and pick any new data that my team members are added. So I'm going to show that since it seems I have enough time to do that also too. Am I doing this twice? This one. So, and voila. So now I'm going to combine them all. So I'm going to go to home menu and I go to append queries. And in this case, I'm going to do append queries as new. And it's going to come up anyway. Let me on Zoom. So I know that mine is three or more tables. I am going to remove that one and bring in everything, so all the tables on the left to the right, and say, yes, please append them all for me. And it does its work. And it's like I must have skipped the table. So let's just go check. By the way, I'll call these companies. So this will show that this is the consolidated table. So it seems I have skipped one of them. I've skipped this one. So I'm going to do this. So this should reflect that update now. All right. So now I can see everything that it should be. And then I I don't need this to load all these ones. So one thing people like to keep in trainings, when people like, can't I select everything, right click, and do what I am saying? Unfortunately, as I'm looking at it, it's not been done, and it makes no sense, for me to have to be doing one by one. But this is it. I right click on this. I say it should not load this. So that way, when I click close and apply, this one will not load into my model. So I won't be having, if I have 50 companies and just one consolidated, if I don't do this, I'll be having 51 companies in my data model. And out of those 51 companies, only one is the actual consolidated that I need to use. So it can be very messy, you might even end up mistakenly picking a column from the wrong table. So it's sometimes better to just take the pain and deselect enable for the ones that you don't need to take into your model, since I only just needed them to create the consolidated one. So I tried this in the Excel during the Excel one. I didn't see that option. I was really surprised. I've always assumed the option is in all of in both the Excel and the Power BI one. So I'm now going to click on close and apply. So once I do close and apply, it's going to do its work. It takes a bit of some time. So it's already doing that. If you have any questions, you can put in the chat box or you can ask now. Oh, okay. So, Mr. D, you say seeing the back end now makes it easier to understand for me. Thanks. Okay. Some people join and they left. Maybe it didn't look too esoteric for them. Okay, so I think it's almost done. It said one error. Yes, so let me go check what the error is. I think I know what the error is. But that's the nice thing about it. Even if I do not know what the error is, it's going to show me what the error is when I put up. Okay, so it's telling me that some records are having errors, and it's true. They are having errors because if I take us through like this, so there are some. When I change this to currency, what was here before? Let's see what was here before. What was here before was uh, anyway. There's an error here anyway, but I think what was there before was not applicable to this record. Let's see, and go back to where it was there. It seems I can't. See, not applicable for insurance. Right? So I can fix it. All I need to just do is tell Power BI that you see replace all errors. By the way, that's one other thing this thing shows here. In case you are wondering how did I get it to be there, if you go to view, you can enable that you want to see which one. Okay, I think this one you don't even need to enable anything. The other one that you might need to enable is column quality, where it starts telling you this percentage of errors. But sometimes it makes my refresh, my work a bit slower. So sometimes I turn it off. But it's really good. Anyway, I'm going to right click here and tell Power BI that I wanted to replace errors. So anywhere that error, that any not available for insurance or for bank, just put 0 there. So replace errors with 0. So once I do this, I think that should take care of whatsoever error situations are. So I can delete this error query because actually it's just a report of what the error is. So I don't need it anymore. If there is still error, once I click close and apply, it will tell me if there is still error. So I'm going to do close and apply, and then let's see. This can be really frustrating if it's a large table. So sometimes you want to be sure there are no errors. You're taking care of as much of the issues ahead, so you don't have to wait again for all the query changes to apply. Unfortunately, this is what it is here. Kind of faster anyway. So no errors this time around. So that was the cause of the error. So I'm going to just quickly do a step ahead. Okay, so Mr. D is asking, I was going to ask you about the data source for this NSE. I was thinking you connected to a replicated database, or is it that you are using Google Sheet to handle the larger data set? The data set is actually coming from a PDF document. Let me see if I can show you. So I have here a PDF of annual reports going as far back as that's another thing that we want to. Fortunately, when I created the template, I started from 2012. So we have to add the previous years anyway. So my team member and I who worked on this. This is what we are. We open the PDF, we go and grab the data, and type in it or copy and paste. So it's a very laborious manual process to put it in this Google Sheet. So the Google Sheet now became, and the Google Sheet was because there were supposed to be three of us working on this. So the Google Sheet made it easier for us to collaborate. The other guys, even me too, I find it easier than the Excel online. Even though I should be ashamed to say that, but I think maybe if I use Excel online, actually, like this checkbox, you don't have it on the Excel online. There are some features that the Google Sheet has that are really, really cool. So anyway, this was what we decided to use, and that was that's the source of the data, PDF, annual reports of companies. So just to demonstrate to you how you do the scheduled refresh, I'm going to just try and put in some things here. I'm going to throw in a slicer. Drop the company name in it. Let's see, there's a better looking way to make it. Let's say I make it a bit more, let me put it horizontal. Okay, so maybe this looks nicer than that other person. And then I just throw in a bar chart, a column chart, clustered column chart. This one. I'm throwing a clustered column chart. Then I throw in year on the axis. I throw in value to value. I throw in company to legend. And then I'm going to put as another slicer the metrics. So these metrics that we are tracking about them. So if you pick a metric, let's say I pick cash and cash equivalent, and I pick a company, I will see for that company. And I can pick two companies to compare. So I could pick Nestle and Nigerian Breweries to compare, right? So this is looking good. Maybe I should just arrange this to sort in the normal year pattern. But anyway, that is not. You can come back to that in year. If I make the year a number, that should fix that part. Okay, good. So that is done. So at least it makes better sense. So now, the whole reason why I'm doing this is for one purpose. I want us to see what will happen as regards uh, scheduled refresh. Let me just see if I can do some 1-2 beautifying steps on this. Okay. This. So let's see. And then we just put them in order in the faster approach. So many more minutes do I have? Okay, I'm good on time. So, yeah, let me use this Teams approach. Nice, just give them all border, same border. I forgot to add. You just bear with my color choice. Okay, and showing some shadow, showing a shadow, showing a shadow. Why are you still telling me to recover? I don't want to recover anything. Okay, so let's say I'm okay with what is showing on my screen, huh? And I want to publish, and I want to set it to refresh every day. So I'm going to call this office 12 DI demo. I save it in my documents, and let me just say this should have a data label. So on the minimum, these are things people want to do. I will forget about the labeling on top. And then I go to home and publish so that we can go and check out how do you set schedule refresh when your data is coming in from a Google Sheet. If you use Excel online, you will enjoy the experience in terms of you can put passwords, so just not anybody can access the data. All right. But I notice people, a lot of people are also like me. They use more of Google Sheets than Excel online. So, well, you can still use what you have. So I'm trying to publish it. For some weird reasons, the publishing is not coming up. So let me just go out of it, come back into it, click on publish. Publish. All right. So I pick a workspace, maybe my workspace. I say go ahead and push into my workspace. And so it is publishing. And any question at this juncture, any question, I know it's a smaller class size we have this evening. The good news or the good thing about it is I'm recording it. So these days I don't get too worried about the class size because usually the amount of people who watch the recording are always more than the people who join the live class. Okay, so this is what I've just built, right? Now, how do I set it? Because that's the thing Power BI has as an advantage over Excel. How do I set it to schedule refresh? So let's do that together. So I'm going to expand my workspace, go to this data set. So I'm going to the data set. I go to schedule refresh, and you will notice that I don't need a data gateway. It's a web data source. All I just need is this, click on this edit credential. Set it that it is a whatever you want. So me, I usually pick that it's my organizational data. You don't need login at all. If it was OneDrive or Excel Online and that you did not share to just anybody, then you are going to have to pick basic and login and put in your credential. In this case, Google Sheet, you can't do that because Power BI can't log into Google Sheet anyway. So I'm just going to leave it as anonymous, set it as organizational, and do sign in and that. So it will do in some seconds. And with that set, I can schedule refresh. I can say I want this to refresh every day at 7 or 8 a.m. a.m. and that will be it. So, which is what I'm going to also ultimately do here when I've done injecting, because this one's already refreshed every day. So when I had that too now, I'll have to, do what I've shown you here now, and that way this report will keep refreshing. I don't want to forget. Let me just turn it off. Wow. Okay. So that's it. I'm done. That's all I plan to show us. I don't know if there are any other questions or contribution. So but at least you can see how we went from this data on different sheets to something that everything is now collated into one table. Okay. All the many published I clicked, they're now coming up. How everything became collapsed into one flat table, consolidated and collapsed. Collapsed. When I say collapsed, I mean flattened out the gears. So I am assuming we are all clear with everything I have done, and the eventual result, which is this. Yes, sir. Mr. Dako, yes. I can see your hand up. Yes. You can go ahead and talk, sir. Mr. Dako, your hand is up. Is he that you change your mind? Okay. Any questions, any contribution? If none, I might have to close the session early then. Like we'll just end it here. Okay. Oh, yeah, we can't hear you. I can't hear you. I don't know. I'm guessing it should be same. We can't hear you. It might be. Can you check your mic? Maybe you selected the right mic. We still can't hear you. Let me turn on the speaker on my second setup and see if. Oh, still can't hear you. Normally, when you start talking to, your the it will start showing you as talking like on the Microsoft team. It will be showing as if you are talking, like some bubbles emanating from you. Okay, so my concern is around the fact that you are connected to annual PDF reports. What if the PDF data structure changes in subsequent years? The connection is manual, like is extraction. The person there is opening the PDF and copying and pasting the figures. So if they were not automatically linked, because even the structure of the annual reports are not consistent. The way MTN does their own PDF and structure of the annual reports is different from the way GT Bank does its own. It's different from. It's not a small work. It's not a small work. So that was why I said someone had to work 3 months. And me, I've done some work before he joined. So it's been like a lot of, and that was what he was doing all the 3 months, like Monday to Friday. So that's why maybe not too many people, like for other countries, you're able to go online and see annual reports, already extracted of those of US companies, of UK companies. If you do that in Nigeria, you will see, I don't think you will see, except investing.com that tries, but you won't see as much as you will see for a US company. And it's because of this amount of work. Who wants to do this for no pay? So that's why. But in US, they mandate the companies to, the one they file to SEC, their 10K, their annual and quarterly reports, they SEC mandated them to send it in a very, very, very unique, in a format that they must conform to. So that way people can write Python script or even Excel stuff to extract, and they will be certain that that structure is the same. But in Nigeria, there's no uniformity. Everybody, though the other countries, they still do their normal annual reports that they can choose whatever they want to. But the one they file with the SEC, they follow SEC's pattern. Unfortunately for us in Nigeria, we don't have that kind of a regulation. So whatever you are doing with annual reports, your best bet is to always manually gather them. So thank you very much, everybody.